Welcome to the Santos Says podcast, episode number 6. I'm your host and your boy, Santos, proud owner of Santos Threads. Make sure you guys check out santos-threads.com, the best for the latest and greatest in urban sportswear for men and women's sportswear. Make sure you check it out. Santos-Threads, SANTOS-THREADS.com. I am very excited for today's guest because in this episode, we're going to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I am a big music fan. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a big R&B guy. I absolutely love hip hop, love R&B, love Spanish music, love all kinds of music, jazz, so on and so forth. So on this episode, I'm going to have a special guest here today. She is a singer, a dancer, an entrepreneur, does TikTok, does Instagram. I mean, she does tons of things. She wears a lot of hats. The very talented artist and very talented person. Obviously, she's a Latina, fellow New Yorker like me. And I'm going to have her here. I'm very pleased to invite her here. And I see she's there backstage waiting. So I'm very happy to have her here. And what we're going to talk about is what has happened to R&B music. Why is it not as popular as it once was? There was a time where R&B was one of the most mainstream genres, you can hear that's out there. I still am a huge fan of R&B music. I always believe that if you want good music, you can find it. You just have to look. But nowadays, with the streaming age, people are hesitant and kind of like a lot of not so talented people get pushed to the top while the talent kind of languishes behind. So that's something that we're going to talk about. And I also wanted to get her, we'll touch base with her, find out what she's up to. She's got tons of stuff she's working on. So we'll find out what's going on with her now, what she's up to. And also, I just want to touch base with her also and get her opinion on kind of like the underappreciated legacy of Latinos in R&B. R&B/soul, because R&B is as a genre has been around a long time, but really there's a lot of different genres that predated it. Whether you had rock and roll, doo-wop, soul music, so on and so forth. So we'll get into that, just like the underrated legacy of Latinos, because Latinos have really put it down in this genre for a long time. So without further delay, I'd like to welcome to the show, Bianca.
Hi.
How you doing? Welcome. Thank you for coming on. Very good. And so I see. So
this is great.
thank you. So I was gonna ask, okay, like what is your background? But the shirt is cool, so we know.
This
Boricua.
is actually one of my favorite shirts to chill in, so it just so happens to have a flag.
Nice. That's awesome. Boricua all the way. That's great. I'm one of the things I told you, when I wanted to try to set this up was really one of the things, right? Because I don't like to pigeonhole myself, right? So I do a lot of stuff that's, fashion, sports based, but at the same time, I like to cover different topics. And I also like to bring spotlight to Latinos that are really doing their thing. So that was one of the inspirations for really wanting to have you here. So I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you. Oh, I'm flattered. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Absolutely. So here we go, right? So I was thinking of this because this is one of those topics that really, it fascinates me, right? Because as time goes on, the musical genres change. And I kind of feel like now with where R&B/soul music, right? Where it is right now, it's kind of in a weird place because I feel like now the rappers are singing. So you got rappers who are singing, and then in some instances, you got singers who want to rap, right? So, so like one, right? It's crazy. So like one of the things I noticed about you, and again, I obviously I had to go back and find some of your stuff and see what you, obviously before this to see what you're about, right? And so one of the things I noticed was that your music, first of all, you could actually sing, which is good.
Thank you.
Like you could actually sing. Like I heard the song. She's got this song called Tell Me. Very nice song. Did you write this song yourself?
Thank you.
Who produced this song?
I did.
Awesome. Okay, so you wrote the okay.
Yeah, I wrote the lyrics. Honestly, I was literally just on my computer desk one night, and I was stressed out about something that has nothing to do with the song. It was a stressed out evening. I was all like just emotionally worked up. So then all of a sudden I was just like, and I just started writing.
Started taking out on that pen.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good feeling. That was, I guess, that was a kind of a therapy session for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, yeah, it's a song. It's one of those songs you could definitely hear the feeling that you put into it. The lyrics are very well written. You did a really good job with that song, and I guess that was one of the things that I really that I respected about you. That when I saw your work, I was like, man, okay, she can actually sing. Like you gotta remember, like we're in an age where everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to be whether it's a YouTuber or some sort of right. Everybody wants to be out there, famous, dancing, doing everything. But 90% of the people don't have talent. They just don't. They don't have the talent.
Well,
so
it's about trends, There's a lot of trends that go on. Of course, you see TikTok, which to some degree it's a lot of fun. You can do whatever you want and follow the trends and stuff like that. But it definitely makes a huge difference in terms of like people who want to put themselves out there. So it's definitely a different time. But then at the same time, that also becomes really, really saturated.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to still find a way. And I think it's very important, especially as these trends are happening. It's very important to be able to acknowledge the people who even create, especially let's say like dances, but like let's say the really cool TikTok dances or even songs that people sing. You want to make sure that those people are getting acknowledged for that work and their creativity, rather than just putting the focus on the trend in itself.
Yeah. And I think now, especially we're in an era, we're in the streaming age, technology age, and I think ownership is a big thing. I think that's one of the biggest differences from before. Whereas before you had to rely on a machine, you had to sign to a major record label, right? You had to pray that you ran into somebody on the street, right? That'll sign you. Now that's not the case.
Everyone talked about. They're like, I was on the corner of Madison Square Garden, and this producer came up to me and said, "Do you want to be a superstar?" And I said, "Yeah." And then the following week, I had an album and I was signed. Like that's literally what we talked about as kids that we would hope would happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I went to Times Square and I ran into Fat Joe. And he said he was going to make me an honorary member of the Terror Squad. Like, yeah, okay. I started spitting bars. Like, yeah, okay. That's exactly how it happened. Like, yeah. And here I am now. Like, yeah. So that's very interesting. Right. So that's one of those things that, like that's the biggest change from before to today. But and again, I hate to sound, and I swear to you, like I try my best to be as open-minded as possible. I don't like to be that guy that's like the get off my lawn guy. Like I'm not trying to be that get off my lawn guy, but I can't help myself sometimes. Okay. Sometimes I have no choice but to be the get off my lawn guy because somebody's got to give it to them straight. Right. So what I mean by that is, you have all this auto-tune, right? All this auto-tune, like, and it's not particular. I get it. Like it's current, but it's not particularly pleasing to the ear all the time. Right. You want to know someone can sing, especially if you're a singer. If you're a rapper, okay. Yeah. But if you're a singer, you want to be able to display your vocals. You want to be able to show your range. You want to show your actual talent. And especially on stage, you're not doing that on stage. You got to really sing.
Right. There's a rawness that's involved in really being able to hear. And if anything, even the times that I've recorded, what some producers do is they'll automatically kind of have it on in the background. But then I'll notice that when I'm singing, it's suddenly like taking my voice somewhere else. And I'm like, can you like take that out? Like it actually throws me off personally. So I can understand why, like, it's, I don't know, but really in terms of like the quality of the sound of it, I can understand why um you people, even myself, you'd want to hear someone sort of in their organic rawness, you know, and there's a beauty behind it. Even if there were slightly imperfect notes, you know, a transition from one note to the other isn't like 100% perfect. There's something beautiful about it because I think that you can connect to the emotion behind it even more so than when you're putting a machine to the sound.
Yeah, yeah, it takes something away from. Yeah, no, you're right. It takes something
Yeah,
away,
it can
and it's
be.
yeah, like, and it's one of those things that you notice, like, it does take something away from it, because like I feel like if you put on any sort of radio station, if you're streaming anything, like anything, you can't hear a song without hearing some sort of auto tune or some sort of manipulation of someone's voice. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a little disappointing for me, especially someone who grew up kind of I don't, my music, like my music palette goes back, like I'm talking 60s, 70s, like all the way to current. I like to keep, I'm very open-minded. And so that's one of those things that I try to keep,
That's the good
you know,
stuff.
yeah,
That's the good
that's where
stuff.
everything comes from.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So, I guess as someone who creates music, someone who's an artist such as yourself, right? What is it that you feel, to you, in your opinion, like what is it that you feel is missing right now from that game, from that genre? Because I've seen like a precipitous, like as far as like the talent, and as far as like the respect, as far as the popularity, like R&B slash soul music, however you want to call it. I've just seen it just go like no one wants to be an R&B singer anymore. It seems like
Hmm.
it's just crazy. So what do you
Yeah.
think is like that? Yeah,
I've
I'm
heard
sorry.
a lot of. No, no, that's okay. No, I'm sorry. I sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought you finished the question. Sometimes my thoughts are also racing. I don't want to like jump in too
Go ahead. Go
quick.
ahead.
Um, but I've been told a lot by multiple people. They're just like, oh, you know, especially when I tell them like, yeah, I sing R&B, like R&B, you know, crossover pop. They're like, oh, R&B's dead. Like you should be singing that, da 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 da, you know. And um, that actually, there's always a little part of me that feels a little bit discouraged when I not discouraged from singing it, but it definitely is disheartening to hear that that suddenly a lot of people have it in their mind that it's old news and it's done and it's over with and it's never coming back, you know. I've always kind of had this feeling inside that somehow it would, but perhaps it would just evolve, you know, kind of like how it started, you know, in like the 60s and 70s. There's a sound that it was back then, which was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and you think like Al Green and just all the good stuff, you know,
Yeah. Curtis
and then
Mayfield and
yeah, absolutely. And then after a while, once you got to the 80s, it started to have a sound, and then it reached the 90s. I'm obsessed with 90s R&B, by the way.
same here.
Um,
Same here. It's my
it
favorite
started
era.
to, oh, oh gosh.
Yeah. I would say the
I've been
90s
so
are.
inspired.
Yeah, I would say like the 90s to me was the best era in hip hop and R&B. To
I
me.
agree.
Now listen, I could be biased. Look, I'm 30 something. Okay?
Hmm.
So I could be biased because I grew up in we're always, we grew up in certain eras, and it's kind of like whatever, right? But
Yeah.
that's just what it is. Like to me, it felt like wow, like this feels good, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was, I mean, it's my favorite era too. Like that's the era really that truly inspired me as an artist, and I take so much of that with me today as an artist, and I think that's what's really important about being an artist is that it's important to take the time to really connect to what really shaped you and molded you as a person as well as an artist, but they really kind of go hand in hand. But I was saying before was that a lot of people were talking about how it's dead and everything. I believe that it it comes back. I'm not gonna ever say that it's dead, because it's just, I refuse to
Mm-mm.
believe it. But it
It's
is
not.
definitely gonna be evolved, in some way. So to some degree, it may not necessarily sound like exactly like it did in the 90s, let's say, but I think even currently there is some type of a return of it, which actually I'm very excited about. So there's artists such as LMA,
Yeah.
Kehlani,
Love them. Love
and
them.
started listening to them, and I was just like, even her, oh, I was just like,
Yeah.
her, this, I was like, I literally wanted to shake all three of them and say thank you, thank you, thank you, because they were bringing
Yeah.
that back, and they were bringing that raw emotion back, which is what I love about really all three of them. Her in particular, because she is, when I listen to her songs, it sounds very honest, and that's how I wrote my song, Tell Me. It came from an honest place. It's just saying how I feel, everything like that. And I love poetry, so it's just writing out a poem and being honest about it. So I love that, and I think that's the really beautiful thing about R&B. I think maybe perhaps it kind of fell out a little bit because um, it almost seems like when times change and there's a lot of craziness going on, maybe people put more of a focus on maybe more of like party songs and some of the more upbeat stuff. Not to say that R&B is all sad. I think that there is also a feeling of hope and joy that you get from R&B music. But I know that at some point it was like you had the party songs, like what Chris Brown started to evolve and do more of like the party songs, and along with Pitbull, Kesha, just a lot of that pop music really took over.
Club.
Um,
Club music. Yeah.
and yeah. So a lot of the club stuff. So people were enjoying that. And then I think over time, like now that it's become a lot of like dancing trends, it's maybe more of a focus on that. Um, I will say even now it's also like the urban Latin market is really doing well, which actually I'm excited about. Like
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
That I'm like, all right, cool. Um, because at least there is that touch of that urban and of course Latin flavor in there. But I feel like there could be a transition. I feel like there could be something where um R&B will make an even stronger statement. I think it's doing well so far, I think. But I think that it's really, and it started with her and with Kehlani and LMA. I think that it's going to continue to make an impact. Maybe I'm just hopeful, but I don't know. I have a feeling that's really why I've never given up on that. There's a rawness and honesty that I really like about it. Not to say that I would never do like I would love to be on a record with Osuna and J Balvin and
Of course.
Louis
Of
Fonsi.
course.
Like I hope
Hello.
so. If they ever
Right.
watch this, what's up?
Right. Right. I'm saying, yeah. Shout out right
um
here. Look, Bianca's right here.
yeah.
Get her.
Yeah, absolutely. But with R&B music, for sure, growing up with it, it's always going to be a huge part of who I am as an artist. So I always want to somehow be connected to it. I'm like, it's just too good.
Of course. No, it is. It is. And also like one of the things I noticed and you see it's interesting when you brought up about like the artists who are really still prevalent, excuse me, today who are making good R&B music. They're mostly female. I noticed that in the one aspect I will notice as far as where R&B is today, that's positive in my opinion. There are more female R&B artists I feel that are making really pure, that hardcore, heartfelt R&B music today than there has been in a long time. I think the females are doing better than they've ever done. I think on the
Yeah.
male side, it's not as strong right now. I think the male artistry is not as strong. I think it's lacking, in my opinion,
I agree.
as far as like prominent R&B artists who are making pure. Like we're just, I mean, how long we're waiting for Chris Brown to be on his best behavior? Like, I mean, and no, I'm serious. Like, okay, and this is this is not a knock on his talent, ladies and gentlemen. Chris
No.
Brown is one of the most talented individuals on the face of the earth, but the guy cannot get out of his own way. He can't. That's part of artistry too. Guess what? You, as an artist, as a public figure, you have the responsibility to behave and to be, you know, a halfway decent human being. You're in the public eye. I'm sorry, you can't be beating people up and throwing gang signs and doing, you know, stupid stuff. I'm sorry, like that's as raw as I'm gonna give it, but it's true, you know. So you have a moral responsibility, whether you like it or not. That's why you're making the money, because you're a public figure. You know, I know there are a lot of, right, there are celebrities who say, oh, I'm not a role model, I'm not this, I'm not that. Yeah, but you signed up for it. You know, when you're a public figure, you signed up for it. Whether, I'm not saying you got to be a church mouse. I'm not saying that. You know, you don't have, you know, you can live your life and do what you want to do, but there's a certain code of conduct that you must, that applies when you're in that position. I feel, in my humble opinion. You know, yeah. So
it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. I think with him, like I'm kind of an empath. So one of the things that I always think about, like I'm not saying like like taking, you know, one side or the other, like when it comes to people's decisions, I've definitely like hearing about, let's say, Chris Brown and you know, his actions is, you know, extremely disappointing, you know, and it makes me sad, you know. One of the things that I do think about though is when people are not in the best place and they're trying to maybe work through some of their issues, but then they happen to be in the public eye. That also, I would say, makes me feel really bad. And again, that's like my empathetic side where I'm just like, oh, maybe he's having like, maybe he's like rooted in childhood. Like I don't know. I kind of dig like deep into that, but I do still agree that there is a responsibility 100% in making sure that you're, you know, I guess looking out for your own behaviors, essentially, if that makes sense.
You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong.
It's a tough thing. Yeah.
You're not wrong. Listen,
I feel really bad. I feel really bad.
No, you're 100% right. You're not wrong. And look, I'm not, trust me, I'm not the moral police. Okay. I'm not, I'm just saying, just want to put that out there. Santos is not the moral police. Okay. Yeah. I'm not a saint, but what I'm just trying to, right. What I'm trying to say is that I'm speaking from a vantage point as a fan too. You know, like I want to see artists do well, and I want to see them put out good music, and I want the narrative to be about what they do with their music, not about the other stuff, the controversy.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 1,000% I agree. That's why it always sucks when there is like the personal issues start to come out, and it's just like, oh gosh, like but they're so talented, they're so good. You know, it's sad.
You know what's fun? It is sad. And you know what's funny? Let's get back to, I wanted to also talk about, because you mentioned Ella May, which I'm a fan of hers, like big time. You could tell that she studied, like she totally studied American R&B. Like you could totally, it shows, like she was 90s all day. She listened to 90s 100%. R&B. That's what all she did, because you could turn her music back. Like you could literally take her music and transport your mind back to that time, and it goes together. Like it's the same. It's amazing.
God. Yeah, that's what her voice reminds me of. Yeah, and that's why I was so excited to hear her, because it was just like, oh, the first time I ever heard her voice, I literally I was taken aback. I literally went I was like, the people that like got her on board and everything, I'm like, they knew that this was some sort of a throwback but current thing. Like they wanted to bring something back.
they hit a home run. They hit a home run.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Me too.
100%.
Yeah. They hit a home run with that one, and you know, obviously she's done great things for herself. I'm a big fan of hers as well. Who are some of your biggest influences?
Woo. Okay. So it's definitely started first with Michael Jackson. When I was born, I think he was doing his. This is gonna give my age away. You
don't have to give out your age, but was it already the phase where he's like hanging babies off the balcony, or was it
no? His okay, so his skin was lighter already. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
All
but his
right. So
skin has been
basically
lighter a long time
he was
already.
definitely on his bad tour when he yeah. But it started like how he started at first looking like Hispanic. So I
I
think it was
know.
his
Yeah, yeah.
Hispanic era.
He looked like Julio in the beginning, like
So I meant
Jackson.
like he looked like a Puerto Rican. So
Yeah, he looked like a Puerto Rican. Like he had the curls and stuff.
the
Like Miguel.
curls,
He was
yeah, like
Miguel.
I had the same hair.
Like I'm Miguel Jackson. I'm Miguel Jackson.
Miguel Jackson. I'm gonna remember that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's true. He
But I
did, and then little by little, yeah, he got lighter and lighter again.
yeah, yeah. So at the time, it was really when I was more of a toddler. Like by that point, he was doing his dangerous tour, and that's when I had really become familiar with him. From there is when I started to listen back to his older stuff and then follow him from there. But I remember my mom, she's so amazing. Me and my
Shout
sister
out
and
to
I were
mom.
both
Shout out
like,
to mom.
shout out to mom. She recorded the concert on VHS. And for any young people who don't know what that is, it's a tape that you put in the VCR. Google what a VCR is, okay? So anyway,
Google
she
VHS.
recorded
Yes.
it on a VHS so that we could watch it. And she even also she bought us like a history tape, the history VHS, which had the music videos, volume one, which had Thriller and
I
those were
had
popular.
that.
You had it too? Oh, I'm
Yes, I
obsessed. I think I
had.
still have it. Oh, that's how I learned the dances, by the way. I had to rewind and play. But
Well, I can't dance. I
so
can't dance
yeah,
like that.
oh, you can't.
Not like that. No,
It takes some practice.
not like that. Nothing remotely close to
Do
that.
a
I
little bit of
tried. I tried,
a little
but
bit of this. but when I heard his music and I saw him doing his dangerous tour, I became obsessed very quickly. I mean, I was just in awe of this man, and the way that he commanded the stage, his level of conviction and passion when he performed. I was like, and seeing him with his dancers on the stage, doing like Dangerous and Thriller and everything, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And it was amazing. And everything, even down to when you would listen to his music, there was always so much conviction. It almost seemed like there was nothing that he ever held back when it came to his music and when it came to singing something. So you felt everything that he had to say. And you always believe it, and it's absolutely amazing. And he had passion, he had attitude, he had edge, and he was an incredible dancer. So seeing that he had all of that all together, I wanted to be that type of entertainer, where I wasn't just a singer and I wasn't just a dancer, but I was like able to do everything.
the
So
marriage of the
that's when
two.
I would start to, yeah, um so, and the fact that everything was just a whole amazing spectacle, it was very theatrical. So I'm just like, I want the lights and the sparks and the crazy costumes and the glitter, and I'm like, I'm here for it. So but there was something about him that was just like the way he performed. It was very like he was free, he was just out there and free. And hi, sorry, my boyfriend just came in.
Shout out
um
to the boyfriend.
Hello. So that inspired me insanely. Like I was immediately obsessed and wanted to be that type of artist. And then when I got to see that his sister Janet did the same thing, I was like,
Yeah.
there's a girl version. Yes.
And she's talented in her own right. I think she doesn't
Oh
get enough
yeah,
respect.
absolutely.
I think she doesn't get enough
I agree.
respect historically for her contributions to
I
music,
agree.
you know. And
Yeah.
there's something, and one of the things I wanted to also bring up, since you mentioned Michael Jackson, right? Because Michael Jackson is one of my first idols, like ever in the history of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me too. But I will say I'm going to ask you this question because it came up right now when we're talking about it. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to compare the two albums that always get compared, and you have to give me which one you will take over the other. And then I'll give you mine. All right. As far as like what you prefer, right? Okay, here
Okay.
we
Oh
go.
boy.
Off the Wall versus Thriller.
Mm.
Which one? If you have to pick, just like you can't have both. You got to have one or the other, and then I'll give you mine, and I'll tell you why.
Um. Okay. I'm going to pick Off the Wall.
Nice. Oh man. All right, all right. I thought you were gonna pick Thriller because everybody picks
It's
Thriller.
so close. It's so
It's
close. So I
it's
know Thriller obviously
close.
is the most popular one.
It's yeah, super popular. I'll tell you. I see. I argue with people about this. Like I will argue
Hmm.
to the death about this. Off the Wall is a better album than Thriller. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
and that's me. That's me. I'm sorry. I will put it up against anybody. That album, there is no other album that makes me feel like Off the Wall. I
Hmm.
adore Off the Wall. Thriller to me, it
Yeah.
was kind of like I love Thriller, but Thriller's kind of like he starts to get to that point where he's like more pop to me. I feel like Off the Wall has like that soulful essence that he used to have when he was with the Jackson 5, but just in a different way.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There's definitely more of a connection there, as he, which I guess makes sense. It's just he started off, with the Jacksons, and then start to evolve and go into Off the Wall. But there's definitely some like I feel like Off the Wall is a whole mood. It
Yeah,
feels
I
good.
agree. It
It's such a
does.
feel
It
good
feels
album.
great.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, because I it
Yeah.
makes me feel so good. Like it could make you feel really good, like you said, or and then there's some songs that make you like you in your feelings, right? So it like you said, it's a mood. You'll be in your feelings. You're like, like there you ever hear something that you're like, you want to feel, I don't know, I can't, it's a weird thing, right? You want to feel sad. I can't explain it. We love sad songs. We love to feel like
Yeah.
not depressed because now people go too crazy with the depressed stuff. Like let's not, let's not go. What I mean is I'm being respectful. I'm not saying people with illnesses and stuff. I'm talking about like people go too far. Like, oh well, I'm so upset and I'm so. I don't mean in that way. What I mean is like you want to feel a certain way. You want to feel, hey, I feel kind of sappy today. You know, in that way.
Yeah. 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 Just being honest about how you feel,
Right.
which again he knew how to do in a great way. So even if there was a song that made you like feel a sense of hope, but it was a hope that brought you to tears, you were still happy that you felt it. I think a great artist, him in particular, knows how to tap into the human experience. Um, and I think that's the power of music. Um, when you really know how to do it, like obviously he did it. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So even if someone didn't want to feel sad, I think that people, when they really appreciate music and they really get to experience the feeling of the music, they get to have a moment in which they're allowed to feel the truth.
Yeah.
And I think everyone wants to be able to be truthful about how they feel. It's very easy to just compartmentalize or just brush off, as a coping mechanism. But um, Michael in particular just knew how to express human emotion and a human truth in the right way. He just like, all right, well, you hit the nail on the head. So that's exactly how it feels. That even the way that he would cry in his voice,
Oh, loved
or
it.
even in the songs where he's angry in his voice, you're just like, yeah, 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 like I totally get it. I'm like, I don't even know. imagine, like I remember listening to like, and this is the Dangerous album, but listening to Heal the World,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
when I remember like as a kid, I definitely felt connected to it, but when you get older, you have more of an understanding of the world. And then when I did listen to it as an adult, like I like you feel like the cry like come to right about here, and then
You could feel that in your throat.
and
You
then
feel
right
that.
behind the
Yeah.
eyes. Yes, and then right
Yeah.
behind the eyes. So Yeah, I love the honesty and the truthfulness behind what he does, and then when it comes to, let's say, his first album, Off the Wall, um I I can sense sort of his youthfulness, but he's still honest, so it's just that sort of point in his life. But he's still got like that edge and that attitude that makes you excited about listening to him do his own album. I
Yeah,
love,
he
oh
has
my
that
gosh,
edge.
I'll never get tired of that music. I'll never get tired of like Rock With You. I'll never get tired of Heartbreak Hotel. So
I
like
love. Look at, oh, she's giving us a little snippet. She's giving us a little snippet of the vocals. The vocal range is there.
thank you. But
Yeah,
vocally he
Heartbreak
inspired me
Hotel.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so
yeah.
good. And vocally he inspired me as well, because I'll hear the way that he hits the notes, the sort of vibrato that he does, and even the moments in which you hear that little bit of like grit in his voice, and like he does all kinds of colorful things with his voice. But listening to that, I remember being little and wanting to kind of emulate like the pain in his voice, the pain and the
Yeah.
sweetness. Love it.
Oh, it was always, yeah, it was always great. Like you would hear where you would hear you could feel, you could hear the pain. You could hear the that little
Mhm.
sweetness, that little touch of sweetness he'd have in his voice, and you could hear that
Right.
when he was happy, when he was not so happy, when he was that little roughness too, like that you alluded
Mhm.
to, that little anger, that little tough. He had that too. A lot of people think they were just, oh, Michael Jackson. Like, no, he was. He would get mad. Like he would give you that rough, that so my baby,
Yeah.
like that, like that little roughness. So, um, who else are? What were some of the other? I guess the other influences that really kind of
Mhm.
touched you?
um so some other people definitely were, I loved TLC. TLC overall, like vocally as well as um, the way that they presented themselves. It was very empowering. I was like, these girls are badass. I love it. And
Conceptually, I think.
they all had their own character in a way,
Oh yeah,
but
oh
it was
yeah.
edgy. It was edgy. It was fun. It was sexy. It was cool. It was chill. Like it was awesome.
There will never be another TLC. The way that you're 100% right. Like that whole package as a group, as a unit was so different, was so ahead. There was not, remember, it wasn't Salt and Pepper. It wasn't like Escape. Remember Escape? All these groups back then,
Yeah.
they were all, it wasn't Total. TLC was like in a group by themselves, like a class alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Amazing. I think they have to be like my favorite female group of all
yeah,
time. They're really
yeah,
good.
yeah, one hundred
Love
percent.
Boys to Men. Boys to
Ah,
Men as
yes,
well. My gosh.
love them. They could. They
You
don't.
want to
They
talk
don't
about
just.
crying? You want to talk
Yeah,
about crying? Listen to Boys to Men and you'll be crying tears of joy. Like,
yeah.
like all the emotions will come out. I'm just like, like your heart is broken, but you also love it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. They don't just sing. You know how people say, well, they can sing. No, they could sang. They could
Dang.
sang. Like them boys could sang. Like
That.
I'm doing just fine. That song, I'm doing just fine. Right. I love a bunch of them. I mean, but that song, for some reason, that song hits me. Like, I'm doing just fine. Like that song. Oh, that's a little secret about me. I could shoot notes out. I don't really sing
Go
like
ahead.
that, but
Go ahead.
but I've been told I'm okay. I can sing like a little bit, but I'm not a singer. But
Okay.
okay, just want to let you know, I'm not a singer. I'm not trying to pretend I'm a singer, like a karaoke singer. But
Yeah.
that song, I'm doing just fine. Oh, it hits me. It hits me.
Mm-hmm.
It just does.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites.
definitely.
Um, so that's interesting. You bring that up because, like we said, there's such a lack of, and you're not seeing groups either, which I noticed now that we're bringing it up, right? I mean, where are the groups? You're not seeing
Yeah.
group. Where are the right? Where are the groups? In the 90s
Yeah.
and the early 2000s, you had like a million
That was
groups.
a huge thing. Yeah. even into the 2000s, you're right. I mean, you had like Jagged Edge and 112, and like it went. Well, SWV is another one that I love. I was
Oh
from the 90s.
yes, underrated,
But yeah,
underrated.
there was lots of groups. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of them, they were so good, and it was always so exciting to hear about like new groups that would come out, and yeah, and then all of a sudden, it like wasn't a thing anymore, which was so
Yeah,
interesting.
it's crazy. Like all of a sudden, you
Yeah,
don't
there were
see.
bands, but there weren't groups.
Right, right.
So
Yeah, because obviously there's a clear distinction, right? So like,
yeah,
I don't know if it's like the labels now because as you see record labels folding, it's like, oh, I don't want to pay five people, like, you know,
yeah,
I'll pay one,
yeah,
make them a vocalist or make her a soloist, whatever. And it's like, what's going
hmm
on here? It's just crazy. Just it's sad. It's lacking. That part is lacking. Now that I
yeah,
wasn't even planning to talk about that, but you're right. It's true.
yeah. It's it's crazy how much had changed, really, especially since we used to see so many of them.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm gonna switch gears to because obviously I want to talk about your stuff as well. We'll do that
Hmm.
a little bit in a few minutes, like towards the end. Because I really want to get I want you to plug your stuff because I really want people to know what you're all about, to know
Yeah.
the projects, all that stuff. We'll get into that. I just want to really touch base on the legacy of Latinos in R&B slash
Yeah.
soul music because it's really there's layers to it. There's a lot of people who don't realize. First of all, I'm going to throw out a name, and you probably know who this person is. You remember Frankie Lyman of the Teenagers?
Yeah.
They made the whole movie about why do fools fall in love and
Yeah.
right? Why do birds sing
Hmm.
so gay? All that. That group had. Did you know? Maybe you know, maybe you don't. I'm not judging one way or the other. A lot of people don't know that group had two people who were Puerto Rican in that group. Two.
Really?
Yes.
That I did not know.
In the
Did
1950s,
not know that.
doo-wop music. This was doo-wop. Now, doo-wop is like a father or a mother, whatever you want to call it, of R&B music. Doo-wop,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So Herman Santiago and Joe Negroni were two kids of Puerto Rican descent. They were kids at the time. Puerto Rican descent in the 1950s who sang with that group, the Teenagers. Now, mind you, Frankie Lyman was the star. Okay, let's
Yeah.
let's get that out the way. Obviously, anybody can Google him and see it. His story is very tragic. Developed a horrible addiction and passed away at a very young age, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Joe Negroni and Herman Santiago's still alive today. Um, they were part of that legacy. They had a baritone. There were baritone singers in that group. Um, they were a part of that legacy. And a lot of people don't know about that. That story is not told very much. At that time, there was no one really waving a flag because no one knew what to make of us. You understand? We were just there. So I guess people they probably just thought they were mixed or like they were just part black or whatever. But just an interesting thing. And so they're part of that legacy, right?
Hmm.
And then from there, you have Richie Valens. Now, Richie Valens sang rock, right?
Yeah.
But if you listen to that music, his voice, very soulful,
Yeah.
very soulful. Richie Valens was a soulful singer. And so he was part of that legacy. And then, of course, you have to fast forward to freestyle. People don't think of freestyle as R&B, but it's in a way it was. It was
Yeah.
hip hop R&B. It was urban
Hmm.
music. It
Yeah.
was.
It was.
Tell me about because since we're mentioning freestyle, is there anyone who did you grow up listening to freestyle? Did you like freestyle? Tell me about if freestyle influenced you.
Okay, so it's actually very interesting that you mentioned freestyle music because as one of the things that I do on the side is that I tour with April Harris of Seduction.
Ah, yes, I know her. I don't know her
Yeah.
personally, but I know of her. Yes.
Yeah, so April Harris was in the group Seduction. I think it was their first song that came out was "You're My One and Only"
Yep.
in back in '89,
Big
and
hit. Big hit.
yep, um, with her, Michelle Visage, and Idalis Leon
Yes.
or De Leon. So basically, she continued to tour over the years, and it was actually like I think almost 10 years ago or so that that I met her through my best friend. She was already working with her, and they needed another singer. So I got acquainted with April, and she's amazing. She's such a good singer. She's such a powerful singer live. When you hear her, there's no
Yeah.
auto tune. There's nothing. It's just she gives the rawness. So she's just completely real, and
No
that's how
auto
she
tune.
wants it. That's how she wants it. So so yeah. Speaking of freestyle music, we do like the freestyle explosion tours and super freestyle explosion. Um, and actually we're doing a freestyle explosion show in August in San Antonio, so it's going to be our first one post pandemic. So so yeah, I mean, I definitely heard I was very young, but I definitely heard freestyle music around um at a very young age. I feel like it was a fairly brief time,
Yeah.
but
Agreed.
I do remember that it was a thing. You'd hear it at the pizza shop, and someone's playing it loud from their car. So, but it's definitely very cool to still somehow be connected to it. The fans are amazing. They
Yeah. They're
come and
die
they want
hard.
to have a
They're die
good,
hard.
yeah, they
They're die
come
hard.
and they are ready for a good time, and it is like all positive vibes, and they're singing with you and everything. So they're just so full of love and life, and they're there to have like they're the best party animals you can think of.
Yeah,
In
I
the
can
best
imagine. They're
way.
loyal to their genre. They love their artist, and
Yeah,
like Lisa started
she's
touring
great.
again. She
Yeah,
started
yeah,
touring
I
again. She
yeah.
she took a long break, and she's back
Hmm.
out there again doing shows and stuff. And she's another one. She's a pioneer. Like, she deserves to get that recognition for what she's been able to do, like,
Yeah,
for her
and she's
career.
really nice too. So it's great, like seeing her several times.
Yeah,
And
no,
yeah, she's great.
yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, I've never had the opportunity to meet her, but I've seen her in interviews, and I feel like she's just so humble, considering, like,
Yeah,
I feel like telling her, like, if I were to meet her, I feel like telling her, like, do you realize what you've done? Like, you've carried a torch. Like, you were that, like, you're like a madrina, right? She's like
yeah.
a madrina. She
Uh-huh.
carried that torch for dozens and dozens of artists to come after that. Like, if it weren't for Lisa and that group, like, who knows what would have happened? Like, she carried that torch for so
Yeah.
long, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. And again, I include her in that conversation of R&B/soul, because that's all relative. See, R&B is not just one sound. R&B, soul music, freestyle has a lot, because it's soulful. Freestyle
Yeah.
had emotion. It had,
Yeah.
the beats were different. What made it different of freestyle, right, was the beats. It was in the 80s, so you get a lot of that, like, you get a
Yeah.
lot, right? But it was soulful.
Yeah.
So that's and that legacy. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that legacy on this episode, because it
Definitely.
means a lot to me as well. So,
Oh, for
as a
sure.
fellow Puerto Rican too,
Yeah.
um, it means a lot. So,
Hmm.
so talk to us about what you have going on. I know you mentioned about the song "Tell Me," any new music,
Hmm.
projects. Let enlighten us, enlighten the masses.
All right. So I'm actually in the process of signing an agreement with his name's Andre Deo. He actually wrote Jenny from the Block. So he's an amazing songwriter. What I also love about him is that his writing style is very similar to basically how I write. So when we put our brains together, it's awesome. And then if any moment that I'm having writer's block, which drives me crazy, then his brain is flowing. I'm just like, okay. So it's really just a really great, we work great as a team, and it's a great collaborative effort. So we're basically going to be working on an EP. So I'm so
Wow,
excited.
that's amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And it's going to definitely have, that R&B flavor. Um, and I think even a little bit of that Latin flavor too. Because one of the producers we're also working with, his name's Chino, but he's Puerto Rican.
Of
So
course, of course. He's
there's always a Hispanic dude named
Chino. There's
Chino,
always,
Chino, Tito,
let's keep it real.
Tito.
There's always a Puerto Rican named Chino or Tito, like
Always,
or
always.
Lito or
Uh-huh.
Pito. It's always with an
Hector.
Ito, Hector.
Uh-huh.
There's always a
So
Puerto Rican named Hector.
yeah, and Chino's also extremely talented. He's extremely creative and puts together some really dope tracks. So I'm excited about that as well, even from what I've heard so far. So we're executing that. Also, I'm really hoping to do. I'm sort of doing like a newer, sort of revamped version of Tell Me. So I've had Tell Me out for a while, but I'm also going to be working on that again, and then hopefully doing a music video to that soon.
Ah, music video. See, that's what we
I'm
need right now. We
dying
need
for
that
it.
music
Yeah.
video. We need a
Yes.
music video. Any idea as far as like a concept for it, or is it still
Ooh.
kind of like in the back of your head? You're like, I mean, you don't have to say it if you don't want to, because I know how artists are with their stuff. Like, I'm like that with my own stuff too. Like, I don't want to give my
Yeah.
hand. I don't want to show my hand yet. But in your head, I'm imagining, right? You have a plan probably for what you want to do.
Yeah, there's a couple of different concepts in mind for sure.
Okay.
I always go based on what I can visualize, but I definitely want to surprise people.
No, yeah, yeah. Don't. I caught myself. That's my bad. Okay, I'm
No, no,
slapping
no, don't
myself,
apologize.
slapping myself on the wrist because
It's a
artists
great
listen. I know.
question to ask.
I know
I
how
always
artists are.
appreciate the questions.
Yeah, I know how artists are. Artists they wanna. Artists always want to keep their. Which I'm no different. I just started this podcast not too long ago, so I'm not like we're still growing. We still I still have a lot more to do that I want to accomplish. But certainly with my stuff, I'm the same way with my designs, with everything. Like I like to keep things close to the vest. So
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like working quietly. Oftentimes it's like that's usually how I roll. So like it's great, sharing what I'm working on, but even like just some details, it's just like people may not even know that I'm fully like working on something. And I kind of want to keep it that way because I don't know, I get into a place where I kind of sometimes need to be in a bubble. I need to not have, anyone in there, or even any opportunity for anyone to chime in just in case. I just need everything clear, and I just need my just it's weird to describe, but I just need to be in my bubble of working on it and having it right, and then people will know when it's, oh, by the way, here you go.
right here you
Like,
go. Oh, out right now.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'd rather just like I just work quietly, and then I come out.
I love that element of surprise. I agree with you. I'm the same way with everything. I'm the same way with my content as well. Like I like to,
Sure.
and we're always works in progress. So I'm sure like
Yes.
I speak for myself, but I'm sure you view yourself in the same way. Like I'm a work in progress, right? You know where
1,000%.
you are, but you're always getting better. And I think that's important.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some it's a journey. So I think it's, at least for me, it's important for me to go through the journey um the way that I need to, on my own. And of course, like if I needed support from like the closest people in my life, like my boyfriend, my mom, my dad, my sister, whoever, certainly I'd reach out to them, but otherwise it's like, um I'm also not someone who, I don't really like to be so vocal about like saying what my plans are, like, oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and then be constantly out about it. I I guess maybe I just maintain a level of privacy or something. I don't know, I'm very, very to myself. But I just prefer it that way. I'm just like, I'm not gonna talk so much about like generally like all the plans that I have. I'd rather put in the work on the project or plan that I want, and then people will start to see that something's going on, and then and
I
then I'll talk
respect that.
about it. Yeah, yeah. So it's just a process for me, and that's always what I feel the most comfortable with. But don't get me wrong, like I'm cool with telling you, this is what's going on.
No, you gotta promote. You gotta
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. Yeah.
You gotta
So
promote.
that's
Listen,
fine.
find me here, find me there. I'm over here, I'm over
Yeah.
there. Spotify, like Spotify. Tell me Bianca. Look for her
Hmm.
over there on Spotify.
Apple
Plug your. Go ahead.
Music.
Apple Music. What else? Go ahead. Plug them. Plug them.
There's Amazon Music. Oh gosh, if you can think of streaming platforms, they're there. They know there's always
Stitcher.
like a
Are you
whole
on
list of
Stitcher?
them. Am I on what?
Stitcher. I mean, Stitcher is more of a podcast format, but Apple,
Yes.
Amazon. Okay.
Amazon, CD Baby. Um, there's gosh,
Basic
yeah.
wink,
Just
wink.
find
Basically,
it.
ready, wink, wink. Basically, everywhere where you could catch this podcast. It's actually
Yes.
true. Yes.
Yes.
So listen to her song and listen to this episode too on the
Mhm.
podcast.
Yep. Yep. I also
um,
posted it on my YouTube channel as well. You can look for it on my YouTube channels, Bianca's Music. So just in case, I know that there, like I had some people that, you know, they may not have certain streaming platforms, and then, you know, if that's the case, they're able to visit my YouTube channel and listen to my song there as well. So that's an option. But
awesome,
yeah.
and we're gonna have, by the way, with full disclosure, we're gonna have all your plugs here on the description of this video as
Thank
well.
you.
So yep, this will be uploaded to the Santos Says podcast YouTube, and I will have all your information so that people know where to find you, and where they can get in touch with you, and all those things. So now, any parting words, anything you want to tell the people, anything, I don't know. I'm out of words. I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me on here, and for really the opportunity to talk about all these really amazing things in music, you know, past, present, and future. And very, very excited about my journey and my music. And one of the things I'm also very grateful for is is really the opportunity to connect with the Latino community, my fellow Boricuas, but also, you know, Mexican, Dominican, Cuban, you know, everyone in Central and South America. Just, you know, there is uh, a lot of love that I've felt from you all, and I'm extremely grateful. And I hope, especially, you know, growing up New Yorican, um, you know, you learn a lot about, you know, your culture, and you learn a lot of, you know, why we have the pride that we have, and the passion that we have, um and and I want to make everybody proud, you know. I take a lot of pride in working hard. I take a lot of pride in being myself through my music, and sharing my creativity, and letting the world know that there are Boricua R&B singers. There are Boricua R&B singers out there, that, you know, love to, you know, immerse themselves in music, and creativity. But overall, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to use my music to connect with everyone, but the Latino community in particular. And I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
Definitely. No, listen, we're supporting you 100%. I know
Means
I
a lot,
speak,
truly.
yeah, you know, we're supporting you a lot. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, because I really, you know, respect what you're doing. Respect, you know, I wanted to really highlight that. You know, I think people focus too much on the negativity and the nonsense that goes on, especially when it comes to our people. And so one of the goals I had from the beginning was to highlight, whenever I had a chance, to highlight the positive things that people are doing, artists, musicians, you know, artists, musicians, entrepreneurs such as yourself, and really bring light to people like you, so such as yourself. So I'm very grateful. I'm very, it means a lot that you came on. That you were very gracious you're doing a lot of things, and you came onto my show, so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, I was very excited. I was very excited for this. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll definitely look. We'll keep in touch. We'll have all your plugs, all your social media, everything, and again, make sure you check out Bianca. Check out the single "Tell Me" on all audio formats. Check her out on YouTube. Check out her. You have a website as well, right?
I'm building it right now.
Oh, you're building it right now. I saw. Okay, I think that I was looking at the Spotify link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So website is under construction right now.
Yes.
And she's just hitting them over the head with tons of stuff at the same time. So wait for all that work that's coming. All right. So with that said, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was an honor. Bianca, anytime you always welcome. And the support is real. And thank you so much. I really appreciate having you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
All right. Thank you. And again, salute to everybody out there. And until next time.
Take care, guys.
So first of all, what a great talent. It was really a real privilege to have someone there such as her. Bianca, make sure you check out Bianca. Check out her single "Tell Me." I'm gonna plug all her social media stuff and where you can find her, get in contact with her for business inquiries, and check out her music. I think it's important that we support people who are passionate about what they do, who are doing great things, people who have that spirit, who have that hunger to succeed. And as a Latino, as a Puerto Rican, I am very proud to be able to give people a platform like that, or not give them a platform, but to not only that, but to support them. And we need to support each other. We need to grow, continue to build with one another, and continue to make progress in this country, and really continue to support each other's artistic endeavors, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Again, I thank her for coming on. And again, make sure that you guys check us out. Don't forget to subscribe at Santos-Threads, Santos-Threads. Subscribe right now. You get a discount off of your first purchase, or you subscribe at the store. You can get nice merch such as this right here, this History Makers tee, and also this hat that I have right here, this dad hat, man. It's a shop right here. Check out these items. I will post the link in the description of the YouTube video as far as where to get this. And definitely make sure also you can listen to me on audio format on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music. What is the other one called? Amazon Music. And you could check us out, or you could also check me out on YouTube, the Santos Says Podcast on YouTube, if you want to catch this episode on video format. So again, I want to thank everybody for listening. And remember, don't just say what you mean or mean what you say. Say it with your chest. Peace. Oh, wait. No. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I forgot to say, do not forget to follow me on Instagram. Santos Thread Shop. Peace.